Hello and welcome back to SuperCoach Edge. Well, in round 3, Neil owners were left frustrated once again as another opposition coach applied the cooler effect on him. But hey, Zorko, the Magnificent, went unchecked and absolutely feasted. And as an owner, absolutely enjoyed that. As for rookies, we saw a couple as starting subs, looking directly at you, Chris Scott. Whilst popular rookie in Xavier Lindsay went down with injury. As they do say, Liam, never trust a bloke with 2 first names, but thankfully the injury update has delivered some positive news there. All that and more as I welcome in you, Liam. It was a strange round, wasn't it? With the rookies, by and large, outscoring the premos. Very, very strange. Bizarro.
Very bizarre. Very bizarre. Like, even looking at my side, like, there's some just strange scores in there. Very few tons, which hurts.
It was a topsy-turvy round. I mean, Davidson, 129. That was the highlight, I think. I mean, even I was there obviously watching the game against my mob, and it kind of made the win, the loss, I should say, a bit bittersweet in a sense, because it was like, yes, he scored well, but my mob lost. But
Yes.
at least there's a positive to come out of it. But yeah, a bit of a strange one.
That's it. I don't think we have to be too worried overall. I feel like people are chucking the baby out with the bathwater with some of the players they're trading, but hopefully just got to back them in slightly.
Exactly. Have
If you
faith.
can. Have faith. But yes, before we do get stuck into it, let's run through our socials so you can find us via the various channels that we use. First up, you can find us on YouTube and search SuperCoach Edge, and please don't forget to subscribe so that you do know when our content does drop from week to week. You'll get notified, so you can be the first to listen, or one of the first to listen. On Twitter, you'll find us at @supercoach_edge, Damon at DamoJ88, myself at Liam Evans _95, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can search SuperCoach Edge. You'll find us there, and then Apple Pods. What's it called? Spotify. That's the one. If you want to hear us in audio form, if that's your preferred listening
medium.
Yes, that's the one.
That's me. See, I come in with the words here.
I'm struggling.
No, well, you're doing very well. And it is a spot where you can go and check out the round review, or the round remix, as we're calling it, which is the round review. But a bit of a parody song every single week. So if you have missed them, they are bangers. So we will be uploading those separately, and we have done so for the previous 2 iterations. So go and check that out. But now, Liam, let's kick things off with a brief look at how we both fared in the round that was, and then update who was victorious in our in-season head-to-head. So I ended up scoring a 1,954. Ranking-wise, green arrows across the board, which was a good sign. Up nearly 9K spots to now sit 15,026th overall, which is good to see. I mean, obviously love to be higher, love to be number 1, but it's not to be at this stage. We are gunning for it. And I think I spoke about it in my Team Talk video the previous round. There was about 280 odd points separating me in the 20, I think it was a 22K or whatever it was, spot to the top 100. Now it's around about 220. So I'm obviously, making that gap a little bit smaller to the top 100, which is always a good sign. Hence the reason why I've gone up in rank. So I ended up opting in terms of trades to use my first boost to, solidify and, boost my defense, Lamb, with Zorko, Dale, and O'Sullivan, the rookie, coming in via Short, Perryman, and Finn O'Sullivan. Zorko, of course, he smashed it on debut with a 135 with all of TDK, Holmes, Rankin, and McRae. Also able to hold their head high with 120 plus scores. In terms of poor performers, there were many. The Pink Sweaty Pig failed to hit the mark, whilst Callahan had a bit of an off game alongside Horn Francis, yet again failing to hit the mark and expectations. And as for Sam Pepper, Liam, he went back to being absolutely shite. And I know you punted him the previous round. Is that correct?
Yes.
I will be doing likewise this round. He had a stave execution, scored well enough against the Tigs, 84 or thereabouts, and went back to being crap. So thank you, but no thanks, Pepper. And this week, in terms of trades, I am looking to bring in Bazelenka whilst targeting a couple more rookie corrections in the form of, at this stage anyway, it may change, but definitively I am locking in Bice. And Moraes, I am a little bit iffy on, but I do like the look of him. To the eye, he gets in the right positions, and there was a passage of play there I was watching, and you may have seen it, Liam. He looked really, really good against your mob, and cool head on young shoulders, I think. But for a closer look at my side, of course, check out the Team Talk episode where I also discuss my structure and tactics when it comes to the trades that I am making. Liam, how did you fare on the weekend?
Not great. Not great.
In short, not great.
Yeah, just simply. So I scored 1791 for the round, so not a great score. 43, which saw me tumble down, 43,520th overall. So a bit of a tumble there. What frustrates me is that obviously we sit 161 points separate. And so obviously there's a big, 30, about 30,000, just under, difference in our rankings. With only about 163, I think, difference between us in terms of overall score. But I'm going to be honest, I just forgot the GWS wasn't on the buy. And so I was trying to use Stone as a loophole option that was not a loophole option. And so I was screening Davidson's score. And it didn't work. So I got stuck with Davidson with the E on the bench. So I didn't get his 129. I had a few players there that I could have swapped him on for. Particularly, I think Hewitt, that was one who only scored the 22, could have been, 107 extra points in my side just this week. And, that's a big difference in your ranking. I could have been, upwards of probably 20,000. Instead, I'm basically falling 20,000 spots.
But as I say, Liam,
I mean, week to week, I'm not too worried.
Yeah. Well, you have to fall. As the saying goes, you have to fall before you can truly walk. It. So, I mean, they're just the small hiccups, and we just iron them out, and we push on. So
that's it. So I'm not too worried. In terms of trades, though, I mean, I suffered as well with my trades. So I traded out. Let me just get the history up so I can make sure I'm blaming the right players. Traded out Jaden Shaw.
Shotgun effect.
Traded out Perryman and O'Sullivan, so same as you, Finn O'Sullivan, that is, from the Roos, and traded in Dale, who absolutely stunk it up, Fraser, who absolutely stunk it up, and Henderson, who, I mean, as a rookie, I was quite happy with how he went, so wasn't too concerned with what he did there.
It sounds so that we kind of went down a similar route in a sense that we, like, at least two of your trades were like defensive trades, Dale coming in, Dale for me, Fraser for you, and Zorko for me, just shuffling around deck chairs virtually and freeing up some salary cap here and there. And the rookie correction as well, which we kind of, went down that path. I went for Connor O'Sullivan, and you went for Henderson. So similar sort of moves there in a sense. And kind of leads to a question that's asked of us in our Q&A segment later on in the episode, which we might just chat about, but just sort of maybe just an eye on, strengthening parts of our team in preparation for when the buy is finished. We'll say that. We'll discuss it a little bit later. But one of those things, bit of an off week. And I think the beauty is, like, we're still quite early in the season. And even if you do make mistakes, Liam, and you forget guys aren't on the buy, that it's so easy to turn things around. Because
100%.
Different strategies. Some people are going for mid prices still, mid price to mid price of trades. People are going mid prices to premos. People are going for rookie corrections. And, I mean, there's only been really two price rises in the sense of those players that played round 0 had their price rise in round 2, and those that started their season in round 1 had their first price rise in round 3 just gone. So that it really isn't that much extra salary cap to work with. So people are still working within the same framework of the starting salary cap. So I think there's still time now to, get on your bike and continue forth, climbing the ranks. So not the end of the world.
No, I agree with that entirely. And I think now's the time to set up your team. Like, it's not a sprint. So don't worry too much about, what you're doing. Make sure that you're just constantly climbing. And every week is, like, it's so early on that any extra score you get is going to throw the rankings out quite a lot. Like, it's so, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Like I said, 100 points probably sees me sit 20,000 spots higher. And that would have happened had I, played the different team, played my team differently with who I had on the bench and who I didn't. So I'm not too worried there.
Exactly. And what's that like, the 100 points that you can make up over the rest of the next 20 rounds or
Exactly.
21 rounds, it's like 5 points extra a round. So, you kind of look at it you look at it in a smaller sense, round by round. You can definitely make up ground. So, like, for me, for example, I think it's about, what did I say? 220 is the difference between, me and the top 100. Like 220, divide that by 20 weeks, and it's 11 points that I need to make up on average
Exactly.
on those people that are ranked ahead of me. So it's easy to do when you look at it in that sense. But of course, key to that is making the right moves. So that is definitely the way to go. But Liam, let's have a look at our head-to-heads. And I have gone one win ahead this time because you pulled it back last week, neck and neck. And I had a 163-point victory, of course, as we just spoke about. And the differential now sits at 161. But like we just said, swings and roundabouts, things can change ever so quickly. And we saw, and I spoke about it last week, that your end to the season, I think you had like 7 or 8 wins against me on the trot. So, and that was after me going ahead by, I think it was like 10 wins on the trot or something. So things can change very, very quickly. So
Certainly.
we will wait and see with that. All right, Liam, now it is time to unveil our twist on our now usual segment, the twist on the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is our new segment, the round remix.
Captain Loophole, double score dream, best 18 heroes, that's the ultimate scheme. Super coach hustle, points on the board, every player stats like a secret hoard. But now is the time to get your fix. It's the Super Coach Edge round remix. Round remix.
Well, each week, Liam, we do lay down an absolute banger of a track which best summarizes the round that was. This week, we're treated to the third track in our Untitled album, which we did have a nice little recommendation sent through via Twitter. And it was Chris Morris saying, surely the album has to be called Hits to Advantage, which I quite like. Very creative there.
Do you like that?
And of course, this best encapsulates, I think, the wacky and weird round where some reliable premos failed and whilst some rookies soared. So let's hit play on what's titled Supercoach Madness.
Round three hits like a fist to the face. Rookies outscoring all stars lose a place. Kneel locked down, dragged to the ground. Race shots rising, chaos all around. Super coach madness, who saw it coming? The rookies smoking while the premiums are running. Sam Davison, kids got the spark, burning the field while the big names miss the mark. Crumbling, kings dethroned, the rookies laughing yet they're unknown. Neo trapped under shadows so grim, all our safe choices sink and can't swim. Super coach madness, who saw it coming? The rookies walking while the premiums are running. Sam Davison, kids got the spark, burning the field while the big names miss the mark. Legends crumbling, kings dethroned, the rookies laughing yet they're unknown. Neo trapped under shadows so grim, all our safe choices sink and can't swim. Super coach madness, who saw it coming? The rookies walking while the premiums are running. Sam Davison, kids got the spark, burning the field while the big names miss the mark. Stats ain't loyal, points never mean. Dreams crash hard when the numbers lean. Shake the ladder, break the chain. Round three leaves chaos, shocking its reign. Super coach madness, who saw it coming? The rookies smoking while the premiums are running. Sam Davison, kids got the spark, burning the field while the big names miss the mark.
Liam, what did you think of that song? I think it was very, very catchy.
It was. I liked that. Liked it. Kind of felt like a bit of a diss track on Neil, but that's fine. That's fine.
I'm sure he was in the sights or the targets of many of his owners because I
That's
saw on
fair.
Twitter
That
the
is
amount
fair.
of people and that were just throwing hate his way because he's had 2 games now where he's been tagged to oblivion. And likewise as well, Sam Davidson got a bit of a shout out for his incredible round that was, like the lyrics say, kids got the spark, burning the field while the big names missed the mark. So encapsulates it very, very nicely.
Love it.
Well, of course, if you are watching this episode on YouTube, let us know in the comment section down below how you rate this track in comparison, of course, as well to the previous 2 tracks that we have released thus far. And likewise, hit us up on socials if you are listening to us via the podcast means. And like all good DJs, we do take requests. So if you have a cracker idea for a track that you springs to mind in round or post round, hit us up via socials or on our Discord. Well, now, Liam, with round 4 on the horizon, let's jump into trade talk with The Price is Right.
The price is right.
The price is wrong, bitch.
In The Price is Right, we discuss potential trades and trade targets from week to week and discuss whether a player under question should even be traded at all. So before we do kick off this segment, it should be noted that Gold Coast players, they haven't had their price rise yet. They have only played the 2 games, so
True.
They are on the bubble this week. So that's the likes of, Bailey Humphrey, Matty Rowell, Noah Anderson, those sorts of players. And then also we have Hawthorn and the Dons taking a break this week on the bye. So, like Will Day, Lloyd Meek, Reed, Kako, they'll be juicy loophole options, loophole players that you can use for captaincy or for scores off the bench. So just keep that in mind when you are making your trades this week. But let's jump in. I think, first off, we don't have any players specifically in the gun this week for your fired. I don't think there's any clear trade-out players at this stage. I think everyone, don't get me wrong, JHF, you're out. But
you've been a bit of Donald Trump there.
Specifically, you're cut. Like the cut of your jib. That's why it was so hard to cut you.
Exactly right.
I think it's so dependent on teams and what's going on and what issues you have to deal with that I don't think there's anyone that you specifically need to trade out. That being said, there's a lot of players in the firing line.
Quite a few.
And I think that's fair.
Yep, exactly right. Yeah, you just have to have a look at Twitter and the amount of people that are saying, should I get rid of Horn Francis? Should I get rid of Sheasel? It's kind of like, I thought you were agreeing that yes, because that I have seen that, but no, you're agreeing.
Yes, I agree that you should get rid of I think it depends on what's going on your side as to whether you get rid of Horn Francis. But that's the same for any player. I think if you haven't used any trades to this stage somehow because you've got all the right rookies, then maybe you can make those primo correction trades.
Yep, exactly right. Well, Liam, do you want to kick us off with the category of in the firing line? And Horn Francis, of course, does feature. But first up, we have
Maxi Gawn, 619k, ruck eligible, break even of 212. I mean, achievable for Gawn. But has scored 129, 67 and 88 in his last 3 games. Now, that was against Lockie Keith, that was the 129. Christian Cherry, the 67, and the 88 was on the weekend against Wits. So his scoring is certainly down, and realistically, Price is probably about to tumble with his break-even sitting at 212. He's got a projected score of 99 against the Cats, which, according to SuperCoach Gold, is expected to see him drop another 50k. So that'd be 100k over the last 2 weeks that he would drop if he does score that 99. Now he could go. He's got, I think, a decent average against against the Cats. So there's every chance that he does, score well. I think it comes down to who he rucks against as well. So his best average, no, that's not his best average. His average is 108.6 against the Cats, so not too bad. So you expect he would have a decent score based off that, but it's hard to see. If the Cats do decide to go with SDK, Gawn could dominate. If they decide to bring back Reece Stanley, who reportedly killed it in the VFL, I don't think it's it's just a slightly tougher.
Yeah,
I don't think
exactly.
I'm not suggesting that Reece Stanley is a I think isn't like a Cherry or a Wits who he scored poorly against, but it's just a slightly tougher opponent. And I think that's one thing with Gawn. You just have to consider that he scored poorly against Wits. And
is he going to be dropped
Cherry
off the back of that, you think? Is Goodwin going to pull a
Surely
McQualter,
not.
dropping Flynn against Wits? Anyone that faces
Do
Wits
they
from
have
now on,
anyone? Is
the ruckman gets dropped.
Campbell on their list, or is he on someone else's list? I can't remember.
If there was a mid-season trade period, he could have like been passed along like bloody, like money, like
Yeah,
currency.
seriously. But I mean, I don't think Gorn's gonna play. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
worried about that. But I can see the benefit in trading him down just because he's gonna lose cash. You'd expect quite a bit.
Like you've got to probably ask yourself, is he going to be a top 2 scoring ruck? At this stage, obviously, it looks like no. Things could change. As we know, last season there was toing and froing. Gorn started the season slow, I think it was last year. Grundy started it well, or it might have been vice versa. And then it was kind of like flipped in season. So, yeah, it comes down to if it opens up other opportunities for you. I mean, look at Deconi. He's, 50K cheaper than Gorn at the moment. Cherry, believe it or not, is actually more expensive than Gorn now. Yeah, it's. I mean, if
I'm in front top 10K, yeah.
But yeah, it comes down to how many other issues you have in your team that you need to rectify before correcting a primo, which I think at this stage probably ranks a little bit down for most teams, I would imagine.
Yes.
Everyone's had some sort of carnage.
Yeah, agree. So I think that's why he's in the firing line. I don't know if I'd necessarily trade him, but it is team dependent, especially in the rucks. It's such a hard line to trade players around. You really need to try and pick one of those top 2, especially if you've got a Gorn. There's no one I think that you're going to be able to trade to that's going to make you cash.
And I mean, you started the season quite well, like 129.
Yeah.
And then the Ds, it's kind of fallen in line with the way that Melbourne have performed as well. Like players in their engine room, not pulling up their socks, not doing, not performing to their peak, all that sort of stuff. And it would obviously impact Gorn to an extent. But like STK, if he's in the ruck, there's as you said, a fair chance that he can turn things around. That's for sure. And I mean, there was a run of games as well, just for Gorn, looking historically at his form line against the Cats, where he scored 3 games back to back to back, 135, 159, and 141. Granted, that was back in 2021 and 2020, but he has shown a little bit of decent form. Recent games, 98, 92, 111, but who knows? If it's against SDK, he could definitely push the 135. But yeah, just one to consider, as you say.
I think it's interesting as well. I think I've seen some people say that he's got a soft run in ruck games coming up. I don't necessarily agree. I think he plays Geelong. It could go. I mean, I think it's probably a softer draw, regardless of which way it goes. He then plays Essendon, who's playing Draper and Bryan in the ruck. I think on paper that looks like a weaker week, but I do think that they don't give up too many points against in terms of ruck, so they do kind of deny the opposition those points. Fremantle, I mean, it's Jackson. By then, Shrek could be back as well.
Yeah.
So that's potentially not that strong. Nankervis, and then I mean West Coast. Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, Bailey Williams is looking like the option there. And then from then on, I mean that's the next 5 sort of 6 weeks. So I wouldn't probably look too far ahead from there.
Yep. No, I agree entirely. Let's move on to the next guy, and it is, as we spoke about earlier, Jason Horne-Francis, the horny one, 496.1K mid forward, break even of a very high 151. And the preseason form of Horne-Francis seems to be like almost eons away. And it seems like something just isn't quite right with his 3 in-season scores being 83, 61, and 82. So he hasn't turned up yet, which is very, very disappointing for someone of his caliber and his starting price. Now, his CBAs, they read 77%, 41%, and 71%. And despite this, his scoring isn't really hitting the heights that we'd expect. However, the upside to this is the fact that his role is there and has actually increased from 2024, with CBAs up from 54% to 62% on average. So his troubles do extend from form, I think, rather than opportunity or role. And I mean, the downside here is obviously he's already dropped 40K and is projected to drop another 30K this weekend with a break even of that 151. And it's what we spoke about just before, like it's always fraught with danger when considering dropping what many consider to be, a primo or, someone that could have been locked into top 6 before the start of the season. But for some, it could be the key to getting someone like a Bailey Smith and using that that differential in cash that you get, that profit, I guess, if you want to call it that, to put on the head of another player and really boost another area of your team. So in that respect, just speaking to that, I don't mind it. But personally, I'm obviously an owner of Horn Francis. I'm just kind of being drawn back to almost PTSD, where I've traded Primos in the past, where I've doubted them, and it's come back to bite me in the ass because I've needed to trade them back in with a trade that I couldn't afford to use and would have preferred to have kept. So I'm keeping the faith, and more so as well with regards to the forward line. I think there's, at this stage anyway, before DPP additions come into effect, I think that there's still a spot for Horn Francis to be a top 6 player. Considering that we were speaking about him as top 2, I can still see him slipping down potentially, yes, but I can still see him being a top 6. And his form line's kind of marrying up with Port's form line in a sense, but he still hasn't had those big ceiling games. So the opportunities there, the roles there, those are the 2 big things that dictate whether or not I punt a player or I keep the faith, and I'm keeping the faith in this regard. But Liam, what are your thoughts here?
I'm not keeping the faith.
Yeah, you're punting him.
Yep, I'm punting him. I don't have Bezlenka yet, so that's sort of the way I'm looking at getting him in. I think there's a degree of, I want to kind of ride Bezlenka up to potentially where Horn Francis is. So we'll sort of ride
100K.
Yeah, ride the cash. Jen, I can then see what JHF looks like, because if he continues this sort of form, he's not going to be a top forward.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the top forwards though currently, I mean, obviously this is based off very little data, so very much take this with a grain of salt. You got, and I'm going to do it based off average, just because I don't want to, some teams obviously played extra games, so I just want to keep that out of it.
Yeah, the bias,
Yeah. You've got Jack McRae, who's number 1, as you'd expect. Luke Jackson, who's averaging 117.7.
Wow.
I think that'll probably fall away slightly.
The 165 kind of skews that.
Yes.
For the weekend.
Exactly. Rankin, Bazlenka, Jai Simpkin, which I think will shock a few people.
Would have expected that.
Averaging 112, sorry. And then Bailey Humphrey with his 2 games averaging 107.5. Then to round it out, it's Sam Darcy and Caleb Daniel. So I think we'll see a fair bit of shifting around that. I think it's being skewed by just the low number of games that's been played so far and some big scores. But I can see him coming up to be a top forward, but I think there's a benefit to trading him out now, and sort of holding as much of the cash that he's got, and then riding a Bailey Smith up to him potentially.
Yeah.
The other thing with that is that, what's his ownership? It's about 60%, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's quite high, I think.
So there's a benefit in holding him because of that, but there's also potentially the anti-pod kind of mindset there. If you trade him out because he's not showing the greatest form, you potentially get a bit of a leg up, especially if you trade him to, like a Rankin or the like, or if you can use that cash around your team. Because I don't know, Bailey Smith is 389, so you're sort of getting about 110K, 105K to use around other areas of your team. So I don't mind that trade.
Yep. And his ownership is currently at 54.8% at the start of round 3. So no doubt the live numbers will be dropping. But yeah, I actually like the one tactic to this that I do like was what you're doing is trading him down to Bazlenka, riding his cash appreciation, and you're virtually using Bazlenka as a bit of a mid-pricer / cash cow in a sense, because he's going to go up that 100K sort of bracket as kind of what we use for rookies before we cash them in, 100 to 150K, and you're making that cash immediately as well, like with the trade down. So, with the immediate 100K, and then to trade him out if he increases 100K, that's 200K that you've since gained. Obviously, you've used a couple of trades there, but that's a strategy that I don't mind, and probably the only one that I would adopt if I was to trade out Horn Francis to justify it.
I agree with that.
Very good. Well, next up we have
Sam DeConning, 369.9k defender eligible. 95 is his break even, and we warned about the potential of the Ford Alert alarm being sounded, and given his uncertainty in his role, and Chris Scott,
Yeah.
the alarm is now ringing loudly after SDK was subbed out on the weekend for a score of 50, his lowest of the season so far. He's seen a steady decline in his scoring as well. 109 in round one against the Dockers in a big win. 74 against the Saints then on the weekend, that 50 against the Lions, and obviously being subbed out. Now, Reece Stanley, as we mentioned, has been apparently killing it in the VFL, so it wouldn't surprise us to see Scott pull the pin on SDK and break the hearts of all the owners out there. I think a lot of people probably got sucked in with that 109. 74 wasn't too bad, but yeah, I just worry about him. I'm glad I didn't go for him because, I mean, imagine if I had him and Fraser at the minute. Kill me. Kill me.
I was thinking about both of those guys. Fraser was very close to getting in my team because he's still got the role, I think, for the time being.
Yeah,
anyway.
I think I'm not too worried. I think, yeah, Fraser I'm kind of comfortable with. I think it should hopefully just have been a down week for him. But SDK I'm very concerned about being subbed out. Concerning.
Yeah, I mean, the conditions were pretty trying.
Yes,
so for a tall bloke, of course, but I thought they might have pulled someone else and not SDK. And then there's also like Tom Stewart. Can we just briefly speak as well to Chris Scott pulling his shit yet again? And he made the flight and he thought, okay, well, maybe like Tom Stewart's going to play. He doesn't play. And it's just so dumb by him. But anyways, he's a fraud. He's a fraud of a coach himself. Like, surely the AFL have to crack down on that, which I think they were going to. But anyway, it's ruined owners of Tom Stewart.
Yeah, but I saw Geelong fans were like pissed off with him because he's saying we can't get accurate information. Like, they just feel like as a club, they're not getting accurate information about injuries and where players sit and what's happening. I mean, I would have been shocked if he played. Like, I couldn't imagine him playing, but I don't know. I just don't think I don't know. I just feel like you don't get that much of a benefit to being like, oh, now he's not in.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
We tricked you.
Yeah.
It's like we'll have purchased another ticket unnecessarily both ways for Tom Stewart to go for a bit of an interstate trip. Where did he go?
Just went on a trip up to the Gold Coast, to Brisbane.
To Brizzy. But yeah, definitely like the uncertainty around role persists because I referenced there about Tom Stewart because if he doesn't play in the short term, it does mean that they kind of might have to push SDK back into defence. I know that they've got Connor O'Sullivan, who he looks incredible. He's a really good youngster, another one that the Cats have unearthed. But it may mean that, especially with Reece Stanley back in some good form, the easy sort of switch there is to bring Reece Stanley back, use SDK as almost like a bit of a chop out in the ruck, but primarily use him in defence potentially. So, yeah, we'll wait and see there. But
and I think just on top of that as well, Colin Jasney's back soon. I don't know how soon. So there's also a world where Sam DeGonning just doesn't play. I mean, I don't know. I mean, as we said, we don't know what Geelong's injury report, how accurate they are. But
the truth.
It's just I think there's too many question marks there. I think there was always too many question marks about what was going to happen with Sam DeGonning to pick him, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's just a matter of it's the knowledge and being burnt that comes with the experience and being like, nope, I've seen this film before and I don't like the ending, as a saying goes in some specific song by a Swift person. But let's move on to the next category, and it is, and I think I've butchered those lyrics, but rightfully so. Trading candidates is the next category. And first up, we have Baz Lenker. So 389.2k mid-forward, break-even of 3. And after blowing us away in round 1 with a massive score of 147 and then missing round 2 with a calf niggle, we saw him return in round 3 against the Lions with a score of 81. His disposal efficiency did let him down, but granted as well, conditions didn't suit. But it does seem it's a little bit of a trend with his part of his game. I mean, even his first game, he was just bombing it on his boot. And I guess it's kind of helped by, it's almost the Luke Ryan effect, where he just bombs it onto his boot. and gets the meters gained, and even if it is a turnover, it's still classified as
Effective kick.
an effective kick, which is so stupid.
Is it
But
effective?
anyway,
Anyway.
yeah, he gets positive points for it anyway.
Yeah. If it's over a certain distance, yeah.
Yeah. He got 28% disposal efficiency for the match. However, he didn't have trouble finding the ball with 25. It's terrible. He had 25 touches and most crucially laying 11 tackles. But he does look like one to get in, but consider that he won't score. Obviously, it must be said. Goes without saying, but must be said at the same time. He won't score 147 every week, and the 81 might be a better, closer representation of his scoring from week to week, which, scoring an 80 average, he should go up a fair bit in price. So just keep that in mind. And I'm sure that's something that you're factoring in, much like myself, Liam, because he's an in for me.
Certainly. So yeah, his 2023 season, he averaged 66% disposal efficiency. So it's not like this is obviously a down game, but that is a concern for him to be able to score well. Overall, you don't want him butchering too many kicks. And going at 28% is basically butchering one in every four. So that's a concern, but I will be getting him in. I think he's owned by too many to not.
Yeah.
Like it kind of negates the worry about him. Is obviously break even of 3, basically just has to come on to make cash. He's projected to go up 40K on the weekend with a score of 94. So definitely achievable. Plays the D's, so could absolutely rip them apart as well. And obviously down at the Cattery for that game as well. So I think playing on that ground, playing on GMHBA with their skinny wings, it kind of brings him into the game more as well when he is playing as that wing option. So I think definitely one to bring in if you don't have him.
Yep.
I will be doing so.
That first game as well against Freo was at GMHBA as well. So the 147 score. So rightfully pointed out there about that, potentially being a bit of a positive for him. So, he's definitely one to consider.
Doesn't play there again until round 9, but that's fine. I think he'll score well enough to make cash anyway. Make us enough cash in the short term in any case. It might be one of those sort of players that you can sort of use as a last upgrade in your forward line, just because he might hopefully be scoring well enough.
Yeah, take a rookie off field, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Positives.
Next up, we got Matty Rao, 550.3K, mid eligible, break even at 53, and like Popeye, he was eating a can of spinach to gain full strength. It appears Rao may have done similar, consuming some of his magic turf. I like this from you, Damon, with 2 big scores of 137 and 136 in his opening 2 games. And we know he likes to just munch on some
grass here and there.
Just pick it up from the turf.
It sounds like some metaphor that you're using there. Like loves to eat grass. Like talking about like lettuce or something. No, literally grass.
Yeah. It's just, each to their own.
I wonder what type that he likes.
Yeah, is the MCG better than Etihad? Is the Marvel? Sorry, is that better than Adelaide Oval? Which one? I want a full ranking.
Yeah,
a full ranking of
maybe
AFL
that's the
grades.
reason why Gold Coast in the past have not been able to perform to their peak away from their home turf because Matt Rowell performs best when he's eating their home turf.
That's it. What are they putting on it? What are they putting on it?
Seasoning or something. Chicken salt.
But Matty Rao did do this in the early part of 2023, averaging 130 in his first 7 games and then fell in an absolute heap. But is 2025 the year he finally takes that full step up in his game? Faces North Melbourne and Richmond among his next 3, so the red carpet has been rolled out for him to continue his domination. He did similar last year as well, I have to say, to start the season in 2024. So he went 137, 155, a 99, had the bye, 129, 135, 126, 136, and then I think he sunned up about 5 times for the rest of the season.
Wow.
Just as a quick eyeball of the data. So that's my biggest concern with Matt Rao. I think I was an owner last year as well. I think I
Yes,
jumped
you
on
were.
and
I
had some of
remember
those
that.
early games, and then I just cracked it and traded him out after a while. Because it's literally after round 7, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tons for this season.
Yeah,
After
wow.
round 10 or 7 or something, I can't remember what it was. But yeah, so not great. Not great for Matty Rao. So
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
bit of a
I'd just be a
strange
bit
one.
worried about that. Is that maybe he's got the tank to kind of go big early, but maybe not enough
Mm.
to continue it on. But does have a good next couple of games. In saying that,
The one thing that I will say, just to the eye, looking at him in person, it looks like he's dropped a bit of weight.
yeah, he
He
looks
looks
fitter.
much slimmer,
Yeah,
looks fitter, and he's moving around the
and
ground
faster.
very nicely. Yeah, so I think that might have actually helped his game. He might have been too big.
Mm.
It's trying to bulk up, I guess, as that contested player. But now he's opened things up, and yeah, kind of using his legs a bit more as opposed to his in and under at the trough type stuff.
Yeah,
Um, so I don't mind him. I will say that, but not someone at that price point. I'm willing to take the gamble on at this stage.
yeah. If he was 50K cheaper, I feel like
Mm.
I'd be like a little bit more comfortable.
Yep. And the fact that he's burnt you in the past before, Liam,
Yeah,
probably I imagine adds a little extra layer, a little
yeah.
extra ingredient to it for you.
Like you said, I feel like I've seen this film before. um,
You didn't like the ending?
no. Well, I mean, I can't remember what the ending was. I can't remember when I got rid of him, but I
Because you
definitely
turned
had
it
him
off.
last season. But that was it. Yeah, just turned it off.
Turned off the film before you saw the end. It was that bad. You walked out of the cinema.
That's it. Punted him. Punted him
Yeah.
down the road. Yeah,
Well,
so let's go on to the next guy.
yeah.
Move on.
Yeah. He's a consider, but I think he's probably
Not for
yeah,
me. Not for me.
not for me. Yep.
Yeah.
Next time. Well, let's move on to his teammate now. Could you be tempted by this man? It is Bailey Humphrey, 270.4K as a forward, break even of -55. And I will say from the outset, there was someone on during the preseason. I think it might have been during my team reveal. Someone mentioned in the live chat about Bailey Humphrey. It was like, "Oh, is he an option?" And I was like, "Oh, might be like a season ahead of where I think he probably will step up his game." But again, comes down to role opportunity and gee whiz, is he making the most of it? He's got a break even, as I said, -55, and he is set to make 55.9K if he can reach a projected score of 72, and he's averaging 107.5 in his 2 games thus far. In his 2 matches this season, he scored 104 and 111. But what is most enticing about Humphrey is he isn't reliant on goals or CBAs to manage these big scores. In round 1, he had, I think it was 21 disposals, laid 2 tackles, no goals, and 31% CBAs for a score of 104. And in round 2, he had 23 disposals, 6 tackles, 1 goal, 1, and 41% CBAs. Now, the pleasing stat is he is averaging 13 contested possessions a game at a rate of 59% per possession. He, I guess the question now is he going to be a keeper? You got to ask yourself that. At this price point, probably doesn't need to be. He's
No.
just got to be on field making you cash and being able to score quite solidly like Basilenka, as we spoke of earlier. And, if we do look at him like, as being equivalent to a high price rookie, Humphrey should easily make 100K with the bonus of potentially gaining mid forward DPP in round 6. So, yeah, I mean, there's a reason why he's on the horizon and he is among the most traded in players. But Liam, is he on the menu for you? He's not for me. Just quickly.
I want to say no. Like, I don't love it. I don't love it. I don't hate it, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, there's something like 270K. He's performing like you just got to look at him like a high priced rookie, like a really high
Yeah.
value rookie. He's pumping out tons. I think the good thing that we saw was that he still got decent. He increased his CBAs despite the fact that Flanders came back into the side. So Took Miller seemed to be the real like opposite of a beneficiary to
Yeah, the
Sam
cooler.
Flanders coming back in. Yeah. So that's the issue. So I think Humphrey looks okay. Like he's going to get sort of that fourth string CBAs, third, fourth string CBAs, in terms of midfielders, which is good. And that's what I like. I like the fact that he's managed to score without those big, manage big scores without being reliant on goals or CBAs, which does mean that I think there's a ceiling there for him. The
Yeah.
concern I have is I don't think that there's necessarily a flaw.
Mm.
I think he's got high praise as well from old mate Damien Hardwick, who I think compared him to Dusty, Toby Green, and Degoe, all rolled into
Wow.
one
Jeez.
last season. But I just don't know. I think I don't know. I just there's just something slightly off with it
Yeah.
to me.
It reminds me so much of I think it was his first season when he started pretty slow. He got subbed in multiple games. He was a starting sub. And then he went on an absolute tear where he scored 117, 101, 90, and 99. And in that time, that starting price that he had there was 213.4K and went up to 389.3. And I remember people were jumping on him when he was around about 285K. So very similar to what he is now. And he still went up. He went up 72, 64, and 38K. And, obviously made 100K. So I remember back then as well that I was not too crash on him. And I was like, no, I'll just bypass him. And a lot of people that jumped on him were benefiting from those scores as well as the money that he was increasing. So, and I mean, looking back at what he was getting during that time as well, CBAs, 19%, 31%, 62%, and 41%. But he was kind of playing more forward, whereas now it looks as though he's kind of, still sharing his load, but still getting a little bit, more CBAs. But will they persist as well? I don't know.
I think the benefit he has is 2 of his next 3 games are against North and Richmond. So
True.
Good run.
Yeah.
Plays Adelaide on the weekend, could be a tougher score for him.
I think there's a little bit of a worry as well, just quickly, just
Yeah.
comparing it to Flanders, who's kind of been eased back into footy. Like he only had 67% time on ground. Whereas last year he was kind of averaging around about, just looking at it quickly, roughly around about 80 to 85% time on ground.
So
So that
expect
will
him to get
increase.
some more.
So he'll get more CBAs. He only had 41% on the weekend. And at his peak, Flanders, because he was playing halfback for portions of sort of the early part of 2024, then was put into the midfield almost full time, had 87%, 62%, 86%, 83%, and 88%, and even 77% to finish the season.
Yeah, so 30% CBAs to still come for him.
Yep. So that's going to come from somewhere. Does that mean that Humphrey gets less? Or can he somehow hold on?
I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, Rowell and Anderson aren't going to be moved out. They're going to be. I just can't imagine that they're going to be moved in the slightest. Took Miller still winning 28% CBAs. Maybe that goes to Flanders, but that still only gets him up to sort of 6, just under 70, which might be enough. But I don't know. It's a tough one to read. It's a really tough one to read.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind the pick. I just don't know if I'll be making it. That's my only worry. I wouldn't say no to anyone that's suggesting that they're going to do it.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. He's probably not for me, just because, again, and it probably comes down to, if you have been going for the likes of an SDK, for example, like these guys around a similar price point that have kind of been failures. It means you've had to use presumably a trade to get them in, and then potentially another trade to get them out in SDK. That's 2 trades you've burnt. So it's like, can you afford to take another risk on a player like this, having burnt maybe 2 more trades than the rest that are, non-SDK owners?
Yeah.
So
I think it's very dependent on your situation. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't mind it, but also, comes down to where you're at.
Yeah, how many trades you've used and how many you're comfortable using at this stage. Yeah, I agree. I think you'll score better than most of the rookies, so I think that's the benefit. But you still have to find the cash to get up to him and then go from there. Next up, we've got another guy that sort of just popped into consideration, and it is Ryan Marrick, 265.8K, forward mid eligible, break even of -37. Now, he finally looked to get that role that we all hoped he'd have in the preseason. I mean, he kind of was playing that role but just sort of not getting the scoring and not to the same level. But he's had scores of 33, 72, and 123 in his last 3 matches. But in the Derby, he took on a greater distributor role with Mitch McGovern going down with injury. He's already creased 42k, having played his 3rd game, but still has a juicy break-even of minus 37. He became the main kick-in taker, taking 9, the absolute lion's share, with the next best taking 2. This gives him a clear floor, which is what we saw in round 2 as well, where he took an equal share of the kickouts with Mitch McGovern. Sorry, not Mitch McGovern. What's his name? Oh my God. Anyway, Jeremy McGovern.
Jeremy.
They
Yep.
each took 5 for the Eagles. So the best part for me is that he does look to be the distributor, which will help him give him more of a ceiling as well, like what we saw on the weekend with that 123. I don't think he'll make crashes quickly, potentially, as a Bailey Humphrey. Obviously, that lower break even will just help him score more. But he probably feels a bit safer, I want to say. Just because there's that flaw with the kick-ins, given McGovern is likely to miss at least the next few weeks, you'd expect, with injury. And so that'll give him that flaw to his scoring. Whereas I don't think that Humphrey necessarily has the flaw because he's not, I don't know. I just don't feel as comfortable there. But that being said, looking at the other side of the coin, with Gov out, could the Eagles restructure the defense and make him play more accountable at stages? The only thing I'll say with that is I don't think so, because in game they had to throw Oscar Allen back to sort of do that. I don't imagine that they're going to then use... I think in that sense, they would have probably already gone with him being more accountable if they needed to in game. So I feel a little bit safer. I think that the benefit is that he gets those that flaw with the kick-ins, because he looks like he'll take an absolute lion's share of them.
Yep.
The other thing just to consider as well, just looking back at recent scores of defenders against Freo, is that they're scoring quite well. So it could also have been an out-of-the-box game based off that. So that's another downside, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, just looking at West Coast lineup into the weekend, and I mean, they had Tom Cole on the bench, like in terms of tall defenders. Flynn, the emergency, Bo Allen, and Clay Hall. So it's like, does Bo Allen now come in? And it's a big ask. That's the thing. Like, do they? I don't think they would prefer to have Oscar Allen in defence.
No.
They've already got the young guy, Archer Reed up there. Without Allen, it looks really short, their forward line. So Waterman, I think he's a test to come back in. So if Waterman comes back in, they can maybe afford to keep Oscar Allen back there. But I can't think of like who else on the fringes they could bring in. Like Bo Allen can't come in. I mean, he's 91 centimeters or something. He can't come in surely and play like a, second string defensive role. That's I'm just kind of a little bit worried about, which is holding me back from jumping on him. That if there's a complete restructure with their team, that maybe there's a bit of a dampener. I think, as you said there, the upside is his kick-ins that are really good, and they'll help build a little bit of a floor for him and probably makes him a little bit more attractive compared to Bailey Humphrey. But yeah, I just think about role, and I'm like, if that role is definitive, where he's going to play the loose man 100%, I'd get on him. But I'm just still a little bit worried, about deviating from my strategy and tactics to jump on him, which might scuttle things if he doesn't pay off. He's going to make money at the very least. That's the upside. And if his role does persist, then happy days. So I can see the reasons for and against as well.
I think with Oscar Allen meeting with Sam Mitchell, maybe McCulch just says, "Too bad, you're back in the back line now, mate."
Yeah, exactly right. We're going to go small. We're just going to rely on the likes of
you must play on the opposition forward, the key forward.
How dare you? Or maybe they might bring Matt Flynn in to play full forward.
Oh, bloody hell.
Well, they could also do that, like put Matt Flynn into the ruck and then have Williams and both Williams, really. They've got Jack Williams and Bradley Williams. They can play out forward. So I forgot about those two dudes. So might be happy days. Next up, we do have a youngster in Murphy Reed, priced at 199.1k. Midfielder, break even of -63. So he's largely flown under the radar to start the season, with many opting to look elsewhere when it came to cash cows. But he has quietly scored quite decently. It's gone better and better week on week. 50, 75, and 106 to start his career. This has seen his price increase 67.6K, but he has still got a lot more cash to make with that negative 63 break even. If he can maintain his current average of 77, he will increase another 100K in the next 2 weeks alone. And the added bonus is he will gain forward midfielder DPP status, you'd think, in round 6 for added flexibility. Now, Liam, I think you are an owner. Is that correct?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I
you're
had him
not?
until like the death's door of the
Oh,
season starting, which annoys me. And then I think I went to Sullivan. But anyway, is what it is.
yeah, is what it is. But he's still like, if you look at him as a higher priced rookie, I mean, he's virtually the starting price
Similar.
of
Yeah.
Sam Lawler. So, quite a few people jumped on Lawler to start in their starting teams. So you could virtually do that. And I think, yeah, he's shown, even though he's playing up forward, he's still shown an ability to score quite well. So that's a big plus. So if you want to sort of rookie correct and go down that route, you could do that as well.
I don't hate it. I think there's some other rookies we're going to talk about in the next
Yep.
section.
Cheaper.
The cheaper, and I think just will get you more cash, like on both ends. Like the
Yep.
downgrade to them will give you more cash, and then the longer term they'll probably make more cash as well. So up next, we're going to go through the guys that are on the bubble this week. And first up, we've got Christian Moraes, I want to say, 113.5K. Mid eligible, 70 minus 79 is his break even. And he's coming off a great performance of 94 after he scored a 52 as the starting sub with limited game time in round 2. So definitely has the ability to score from what we've seen. Looks like one of the must-have rookies this season, at least this round. At a bargain price as well, he could be ready to make plenty of cash at that 113.5K price mark. For those looking to rookie correct via maybe a Finn O'Sullivan or a Sam Lawler, he could be your ticket to pocketing an easy 100K and then jumping on a cash cow that could make you easy money as well. There are some obviously questions around his job security with Zach Butters to return, though he has managed both of those scores without any CBAs, really playing on that wing. So I don't think he's going to make way for him specifically. Like Butters isn't going to go play on a wing. But there might just be a bit of a slight change to his role, but I think he'll be able to score well enough anyway.
Yep, exactly right. And like I said earlier, he's someone that looked really good to the eye, not just in terms of SuperCoach score, but just his positioning, and actually is known as an accumulator as well in his junior years. So has that knack of finding the footy and is in the right positions, which is the main thing to be able to score those points. Do like it. He's in my plans at the moment. Liam, are you considering him?
Yes. I don't have him in currently, but that I have also reversed my trade, so I can't remember who's in and who's out. But he's definitely one that I'd be considering. Either him or the next guy we're going to talk about.
Yep. Well, that next guy is Riley Bice. He's priced at 113.5K, defender for the Swans, and has a negative 84 break even, ever so juicy. And he looked composed and at home when he was activated as a sub late in his debut game, scoring 52 at a healthy 1.3 points per minute. And he followed that up with a tasty 96 with full game time, again at a reasonable 1 point per minute. And as a mature age recruited from Murrabee, he has the conditioning to adapt to the speed of senior level and looks right at home in the Swans' defence. And a bonus is he is well entrenched in the kick-in rotations, taking the second most and third most across his opening 2 games. Could he be our answer as a cheap D6 that can score half decently and with a break-even of negative 84? He is a must-have cash cow, I think, at a minimum. On field, for me, I've been crying out for someone to fill that D6 spot because I ended up, bringing in Zorko to help solidify that defense I've got and take a rookie off field because they were just putrid and have been putrid as we know. But he's been able to score quite well and he's shown that ability with the really healthy points per minute when on field. Liam, is he in your calculations?
He's in my calculations, but I'd have to consider who I'm trading out and around for him. I'm only running with the one rookie on field in defense, so I kind of don't have as many players that I necessarily need to trade out there. So Trainer obviously going to hold because he's just had that spark score. Likewise with Zach Reed.
Yep.
But Patton is probably the one that's most likely to come out for him. I could look at, maybe trading out a Kako or a Stone in the forward line to him. and then swinging Patton forward. But it'll just depend on what teams I think get announced as well. I want to see one that Bice is named in the side, but also if Patton's named and whatnot. So it'll kind of be dependent on what teams look like. I think for me, I would probably go Moraes and Bice are probably equal for me in terms of trading options as rookies.
Yeah.
They sit, I mean, the same price. It just comes down to whether you need a midfielder or a defender. But might be the only thing that you have to consider with the two of them.
Yeah. I'm very much in the same boat. Like in terms of, he's definitely into my team. He's someone that I wanted to bring in the previous week, but obviously on the bye, didn't need to. But I am trading out Stone as part of my outs in terms of cash cows and rookies that don't look to be decent scorers, as well as Kako as well, who I quite like, but I think he's going to be a slow burn. And I've got enough of those slow burn players as well, especially in defence, as we know. So he is my ticket to buy, swinging that flex DPP, and would be handy as well. I'm hoping that Patton, because I've had to keep him, and if he is not named in the team, he might be a nice little, maybe, I don't know, depending on when the Swans are playing. Are they playing second up, maybe third up? I have to have a look. No, they're playing sort of mid-round against North Melbourne. So could be a nice way to kind of get a bit of a look at players off the bench, especially rookies and stuff. So
Don't hate it.
Yeah, might be handy sort of byproduct of that trade. But Liam, who do we have up next?
Up next, we've got Harvey Langford, 181k, mid-eligible, break-even of 2 for the Ds. Was sub in his first game, which restricted his score to just 18, but with great opportunity in his second game, he did smash out an 87, which looked very good. With Xavier Lindsay also ruled out for, I mean, they've sort of said 1 week, but you'd think it's probably 1 or 2. Should stay in the side and give himself opportunity to solidify his spot in the side long term. One thing I think we probably should talk about is Xavier Lindsay as well.
Yes.
So just on top of this, I'm holding him personally.
Yeah.
I think as soon as he's named back in the side, as soon as he's comfortable to be played, as soon as he's back from injury, I think he'll be back in the side. That's what I'm trying to say in the most roundabout way. And so he's got plenty of cash to make. I mean, that 9's in a Sydney is
price cycle
for the next couple of rounds when he gets back. But his break even still 28. Scored the 86 in his first game. Obviously had that that sub affected 9, but he's already made 34k. I just feel like it's potentially trading him out is going to be similar to that McKercher kind of trade him back out after he gets injured, then trade him back in when you need to because he's going to make cash. So I'm kind of comfortable holding him for the time being.
Yeah, and he's averaging 82 heading into round 3. So if he can average an 80, just having a look quickly, he can go up to 400k, which is over 200k more than what he's currently priced at. So he's still got more money to make, and he's probably been one of the stronger rookies and cash cows on offer in the early part of the season. So I totally agree with you with the outlook that they've said that he may even play this week, which I think he probably won't. They might just put him on ice for a week and then bring him back the next week. So he's definitely one. Another one we probably should mention just to round out this segment is Sartis. So he broke his hand, I think it was. Don's going into their bye. So, I mean, technically he's not missing a game as such. He's just kicking his feet up on the bye. And what word is now that he's going to be making a return in round 5. Is that right?
Yes.
And recent news that's come to light is Caldwell has torn his hamstring and he's going to be out for a fair while, you'd think. So that does elevate the prospects of Elijah in that sense, you'd think.
Yeah, and I think Parrish didn't play in the VFL on the weekend. He was touted for a return through the VFL. Didn't play. I think he was a bit sore, so they wanted to hold him out. I don't know when the next VFL game is for the Dons, if it's on the weekend or not. There's this weird fixturing quirk where the VFL is just
it's weird.
Great.
They have buys every week. It's strange.
Yeah, and I think that the AFL needs to look at how they operate that because I just feel like there's players that can't get continuity in their game. But anyway,
exactly.
I can't imagine Sardis doesn't come straight back in. I mean, he played that game. He broke his finger in the warm up and then played the game out against the Crows, and then obviously missed having the injury the next week. So I can't imagine he doesn't come straight back in.
Good to see. Yeah, I mentioned him as well because a lot of people might be thinking of trading him, and I think just in light of that news, especially, it enhances his prospects going forward.
I'd hold
I
him
think
at least another week or two.
well, he's kind of had the role, but he just hasn't really had the opportunity. He's
Time on
been
ground.
limited time on ground. Just it's just been bitten by the Scott bug, I think. Just of the Brad variety this time around. But scoring wise, he's been actually half decent, so don't mind him. In terms of keeping him, which is what I am doing. But Liam, what's the next segment that we've got on the cards here? I can't quite read the run sheet. What does it say? What does it say?
I can't read it either. Hang on, just let me just get a bit. It's I'm the captain now.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
I love the throat clear as well. Just to the lead into that is I can't quite read it either. Wait, let me clear my throat to get a better.
I don't have glasses. I didn't have anything else.
To get a better read on things is I'll clear my throat.
I was putting my glasses on for those listening.
You're pretending glasses.
just not watching.
Your monocle. Actually, just giving it away for the listeners, Liam, because the listeners would be none the wiser. They would have assumed that you picked up your glasses and put it on your face.
That's exactly what I was doing.
Yeah. This is our professor.
But yes, it is I'm the captain now, Damon.
It is.
And in I'm the captain now, we do chat about BC and C options that you've got coming up. We've just highlighted a few that we've got here, and then we'll run into our captaincy head-to-head tips for this round.
I'll bring back the captaincy hat for the first
Bring
time.
it back.
It's been sitting on the framed Carlton photo behind me, just gathering dust. So it is back. Dusted off. Do you want to run us through the first candidate, Liam?
Yes, the first one is Dane Zorko. He is averaging 136.7 this season, which scores of 139, 136, and 135, and faces the Tigers this week, so could be in for a very, very big score with his previous encounter when playing off halfback, producing a 161. Get on him.
Get on him. Exactly right. If you've got him, get on him. And this is part of the reason why I jumped on him ahead of the likes of Sinclair, who, granted, he's actually gone quite well, good old Sinks, but this nice run of form and nice soft fixture is looking good and juicy. Likewise as well for his teammate in Lachie Neale, who was, of course, the target for this week's round remix parody song. Maybe this might give him a little bit of a rocket. Yeah, much like it did Sam Powell-Pepper. So, but he does face, of course, the Tigers as well. And it is a great bounce back opportunity, given he has very, very good history against them. I mean, like we spoke about the history against the Eagles the other week, but against the Tigers, he scored. This is dating back to 2016. Scores of 162, 143, 110, 107, 149, 190, 123, 129, 148. That's an average of 140 from 9 games. So juicy prospect there. McIntosh, of course, may tag him, but can he actually limit him? That's the question. The bald man with the headband.
I love the headband.
It's utterly ridiculous. And he knows it does as well. And that's why I appreciate it, that he just continues it. And like, I don't know if you heard as well that he's actually got the home and away headband. He has the yellow headband.
I love the yellow one.
The black one.
I just added something to it.
What an idiot. It's like multicolored, so it's like yellow and black all the way along.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's
like an old school.
I'm here for it.
What he should do is like have like a fake Bruce Dool type number on the back, like have the mullet. That would be hilarious. No doubt the AFL would like be party poopers and be like, you can't wear that for some stupid reason.
Yeah.
But just have a fake Bruce Dool like extension on the back. That would be amazing.
I love it. I do love it. I like Lachie Neale. I like Lachie Neale. Next up, though, we do have Caleb Sarong. Now, he hasn't set the world on fire yet this season with sort of average of 102, but does have a great average against the Dogs with 126 in his last 4 matches with scores of 140, 96, 130, and 138. So I don't mind looking at Caleb Sarong there.
Like it. Well, another one that I do like is Jack Sinclair, and he's just another bloke with some really big recent scores, 95, 145, and 162. But the best part is his recent average against the power, which is 121.7. So he speaks for himself.
Agreed. Another one for us, your boy Tom DeConning on Thursday night scored 148, 104, 133 in his last 3 matches of 2025. Does face the Pies, but hasn't really played them since his breakout sort of late last season, so don't really want to look too much into his past scores. But in recent weeks, the Pies have conceded scores of 113 to Tim English, 90 to Jordan Sweet, and then 47 to Lockie Keefe. So there could be a big score offer for TDK on the weekend.
Did you had the VC on TDK on the weekend?
I did,
you?
so I got his 133, which was nice. It was a
God
nice
damn it.
feeling.
I was considering it and I got swindled by McRae. He scored 13 points less, but is what it is. But yeah, TDK, I mean, it always helps when the player's playing first up. Because then when they score big, you're like, kick up your feet on the desk and just
Pick up your feet.
Absolutely.
Chuck your loophole and Connor Stone on.
Imagine if you did that and you put the C on Connor Stone. That would have been like pack a rut, boys.
No, that
territory.
was. I made sure that I put it on someone with a blue dot that I just obviously didn't consider that Stone didn't. I don't know what I was doing, but anyway.
That's incredible.
Another player I will raise, Bailey Dale. Yes. Obviously only scored the 81. Before that, had been absolutely killing it. So before that, he had scored 127, 141. Plays Freo. Last 2 scores that he had against them last year, 136, 132. But again, the Dockers are giving up big points to defenders. So Bailey Dale could be in for a big score. I don't know if I'm brave enough to put the C or the VC on him. I think there's other options that I'd probably prefer in terms of Tom DeConning and Dane Zorko. But I don't mind Bailey Dale as a bit of a VC, as a bit of a pod captaincy option.
Don't mind it. Nice mention there. Well, let's round things out by looking at our captaincy head-to-head. Last round, I went for McRae, who scored the 120, and the man you just spoke of, Bailey Dale, was your option, who scored 81. So that means we're now even on 1 win apiece, with the points differential now a 10-point swing in my favour. Liam, you're up first this week. Who tickles your fancy?
It's between Lockie Neal and Dane Zorko for me.
What's it going to be?
I think it's between those two. I do like TDK too, but I think I'm going to go Dane Zorko, 135 on the weekend. I reckon he can match that up.
All right, well, I'm going to go for his teammate that you just spoke of in Chalky Lockie Neal. Let's see who prevails of the Lion brethren. Well, Liam, let's round things out with our last segment. Of course, it is the I Gots to Know, which has been rebranded. So good, man. Well, people have sent in their questions, and we will maybe do it rapid fire. So it is time for...
Wait, Jimmy, what?
It's all good, man.
And Liam, they've sent in their burning questions, and we'll try our darndest to answer them. Do you want to read the first one?
Yes, this one is from Daniel Peluso on Twitter, at Daniel Juve93. Do we hold JHF? I feel like we spoke about this.
Yeah, we did.
Bit
rapid
earlier,
fire?
But rapid fire, maybe. Depends on who you're trading him to and your other situations. But yes, that's it. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And
Sit
I
on
think,
the
we
fence.
spoke about, like, in terms of your structure, if it opens up, like your move, going down to Bailey Smith, makes sense, and you can potentially get him back in later on. But again, comes down to how many risks you've taken so far. If they're paid off, haven't. If you've gone for an SDK, you've wasted trades. Maybe you can't afford to do it. Who knows? But yeah, different per team.
I think on top of that as well, sorry, if you have JHF and Rankin, I would feel more comfortable doing that trade as well. Trading out JHF if you've already got Rankin.
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Especially, but yeah, if he gets you Bailey Smith, I'm quite comfortable with that. So yeah,
all right.
moving on.
I'm gonna start a little stopwatch here, Liam, for us. We'll give us 2 minutes per question. So here we go. Starting right now. The next one, Rookie Coach, who does some fantastic work on YouTube. Check him out, Rookie Coach. And he asks, with the end of early buys looming, what should teams be focusing on this week and next? Thanks, lads. I think we spoke about it briefly at the top. Just in terms of, for me, it was solidifying my defense because I didn't want 2 rookies in defense that were poor scoring. Hence the reason why I brought in Zorko, means I took an extra rookie off field. And now with Riley Bice coming in, it is a solid D6. So I think it is in terms of just that thinking, solidify the part of your team that is quite weak, because when it goes to best 22, we can't drop off any shit scores apart from maybe one, given the flex that we do have. That's a little bit of a saving grace. Liam, any dad?
I can just see the clock here and it's giving me anxiety.
Okay, I'll put it down.
No, all good, all good. What was I going to say? No, I agree with you entirely. I think it's just correcting any rookies you need and focusing on cash gen at this stage, because that's what's going to get you through to the end of the season. I think don't go for the sugar hits and, pick up necessarily a Rao because he scored well the last 2 weeks. Focus on who you think's going to, help propel you forward, and make sure you get making cash gen and sustainable cash gen, I think, a focus in your side.
Yep, very good. Well, we've got 30 seconds to spare, Liam, so you might as well just have a cuppa if you want. But no, we'll move on to the next one. Next one is from Cheesy, one of our regulars. You'll see him in the live chat, so an absolute gun. Do you want to read this one, Liam?
Yep. So Cheesy asked, do you think the mid prices like Humpty Dumpty and Marek are more valuable for cash making and points on field compared to the Murrays and Bice types? I'm going to quickly say no. I think that Murrays and Bice are probably more beneficial for cash making because you're getting the influx of cash because you're theoretically downgrading, someone to them. So you're getting instant cash there. And then on top of that, they're going to probably make more cash overall than they don't need to score as highly as a Humpty Dumpty or a Marek. But that being said, the points on field are much better for a Humpty Dumpty or a Marek. So you've got to weigh it up, what you think they're going to make. So I just think I'd probably be focused on maybe one and the other to give you a best of both worlds, but probably not going both Humpty Dumpty and Marek.
Yeah, I feel like, and you've summarized it perfectly there, so I don't really need to add anything else. What I will say is that I feel as though one of these two, and it's usually the case where one of them fail. It's kind of like Fraser and STK. Like Fraser had a bit of a down game, but still had the role. STK, his role's kind of been taken away almost, and you can't rely upon him for his scoring as what we thought, some of us may have thought. So I feel like one of these two might be a failure. Maybe both are a trap. Who knows? But you summarized it perfectly there. Bice, I feel as though as well, being a mature age rookie, he might be able to adapt to the game a bit better. He's shown that he can score quite well already when given that full game time. Moraes, who knows? Could be tight for spots. Maybe goes out of the team. Who knows? But yep, I do like your summary of it there, Liam. Thank you. I don't really like cheese. You're an absolute legend. Another legend that we have sending in a question. Geez, all the regulars here. And another one you'll see in the live chat when we do have premieres and live streams and everything. It is Jack Blucher. And I always struggle. Is it Blucher? Blucher? I think it's Blucher. Blucher? Let us know, Jack. Apologies for butchering your name. At Jack Blucher or Blucher 97, I think it's Blucher. He asks, likelihood of never avoiding the subvest again. Chris Scott needs an absolute kick up the clacker. He does. Very well put. And very nicely put as well by you, Jack.
Yeah, classy. I like that.
Yeah, very classy. I'd say you just need to kick up the ass and maybe a slap across the face with a wet fish. And he also asks, does Campo and maybe something else, maybe like banana peel under his feet when he gets up from his chair in the box, and maybe even as well tying his shoelaces together, Liam.
Oh, yeah,
just
all right. Jesus Christ.
and just maybe as well, Liam, as well, pushing him into a contest as well. I mean, it's worth getting the 3 weeks.
Oh my God, is it? Seriously.
I'll stop there. A bit of a reference there to the ridiculousness of AFL and the state it is in. But first and foremost, who the hell knows when it comes to Subvest and the way that Scott uses players? Just ridiculous. Campo getting a spot this week. I sure bloody hope so, Jack. As far as I understand it, your old man is Vossi's manager. Can you tell your dad to get into Vossi's ear and say from me that he needs to play Campo, not just for all of us super coaches out there, but as a bagger. We need speed. We have the need for speed, as Tom Cruise once famously said in Top Gun. So please, get him in. So yes, I'm hopeful. I don't think there was a VFL game on the weekend from the baggers, so which makes it a little bit awkward. that may be incorrect, but I don't know. I don't think they have played. But Liam, anything you want to add there? Comedic or otherwise? Factual?
No, okay, I'll go factual. And I saw someone
Yes.
suggest this online that Nevitt might have been subbed to let O'Connor come in as the tagger because they were tagging Neil.
Yep.
And so
Oh,
just
yes,
looking
yep.
forward, whether they do similar to that, I don't know. Whether it was just tactical. I think Nevitt should avoid the cest, but who knows? Who knows? I mean, it's Chris Scott, as we said. Campo, I would hope gets his spot back, but again, who knows? I would think he would, looking at how things are going, but I feel like he didn't deserve to be dropped.
Yeah. I will say, just tried to have a look at Carlton's reserves Twitter page, and it says caution. This account is temporarily restricted, so I can't even check their tweets of whether or not they played on the weekend. I don't know if they have, but anyway, someone's hacked their account, or they've just pulled it down because it's Carlton and we're shit. Well, let's round things out with the last question sent in by Steve, another regular of ours, in terms of sending in questions. So enjoy your work, Steve. He asks, Bailey Humphrey or Murphy Reid? Reid more of a lock to get DPP. Yes, he is. So of those two, it depends as well what you're going for strategically. Do you have enough strong rookies? If you don't have enough strong rookies, I'd prefer to go for Murphy Reid. Bailey Humphrey seems like more of a risk. I think Murphy Reid's going to make almost 100K in the next 2 weeks if he maintains a score of around about 70 odd or thereabouts, I think it is. So at least there's that upside compared to Bailey Humphrey. He could have those CBAs taken away. His role could change slightly with Flanders maybe boosted up, and it could be a little bit of a trap. So for me, it comes down to, again, your side, but it's hard to say without seeing the team. I like both options, but I do like Murphy Reid as well.
No, I agree. I think the issue for me is I can't see the side because obviously Humphrey's coming in as a forward and Reid's coming in as a mid. So it comes down to who are they replacing? What does that do to your side as well? And what does the rest of your side look like? I probably leaned slightly more towards Reid.
Yep.
Just because it's a traditional rookie as opposed to Bailey Humphrey, who is not.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, there's no guarantee that Humphrey at that higher price point can sustain those high scores in order to make enough cash equivalent to what Murphy Reid's going to make, if that makes sense. Probably an easy way to put it. But that's it. That rounds us out for the Q&A. I can't source whether or not Carlton played. I don't think they did. No, just looking at the ladder.
Seriously, this thing I just don't understand. But anyway, angers me because I'm fairly certain, like Essendon's VFL don't play this week, and I think they don't play the week after or something. I don't know. It's just such a weird setup with how they operate, but whatever.
What are they doing? What are they doing? Well, Liam, that does bring us to the end of the show. But before we go, where can our listeners and viewers find us across our socials?
Yes, on YouTube, you can search SuperCoach Edge, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. You can listen to us on, Spotify, Apple Pods, whatever you like. And then on SuperCoach, you find us on Twitter at SuperCoach_Edge. We're not restricted like Carlton reserves are. You'll find Damon at DamoJ88, myself at Liam Evans_95. But who knows? Maybe Twitter's listening. Maybe Elon Musk is listening and is going to block us.
Surprised that hasn't happened already.
We haven't said anything disparaging in a while, so it might be okay. Facebook, Insta, TikTok, search SuperCoach Edge and find us, and you'll find us there.
Very good. Very good. Well, also should mention as well that we do have our free open league, which is open, of course, hence the open league. But if you haven't joined us already in there, the league code is 623082. So jump in. I think it's about we're just a touch under 1,000 people in there. Help us get over the 1,000K mark. That'd be incredible. And of course, the overall winner will receive a SuperCoach championship ring that you too can whack on your finger and be an absolute gangster. Bling ring, flash it around.
Hit people with it.
Yep, exactly. I'll think when you said that, the first face that popped into my head, rightly or wrongly, was Chris Scott.
I was gonna say just backhand.
Maybe he should have been the subject of this week's round remix song. Maybe next week if he does pull some stupid shit again, it'll be dedicated to him and all of his antics. So
that would be a real diss album.
That would be. That'd be kind of like Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Just going at each other the whole time. Except that Chris Scott wouldn't have a right of reply because he probably doesn't know who we are, which he should. But when I tie his shoelaces together, when I sneak into the box, tie them together, Liam, he will know who we are, and maybe he'll leave like a calling card of some sort. Maybe this hat.
The captain. I looked at the captain. That was all right. I don't think he's going to know who we are.
Yeah, that's still not going to help, is it? No, in any way, shape, or form. But anyway, Liam, that does round us out for round 3. Best of luck for round 4. We hope you had a great one on the weekend, and we'll see you next week to do it all again.
See you guys.